Oregon, a land of adventure and awe, a treasure.
That was a great take.
Majestic and hidden. A state that calls out for exploration and experience. The journey of discovery begins now. From KGW, this is Grants Getaways.
Hi there, I'm Grant McComey, your host for KGW's Grants Getaways, as we discover Oregon's people, places, and outdoor adventures. You know, when I was a boy, I fell in love with long distance. Not the telephone kind, but the dust-filled lanes and back roads that enticed a small-town kid to explore his home region now more than 50 years ago. Along the way, I made a discovery of treasure that's measured in the memories of so many interesting people, fascinating places, and intriguing outdoor adventures. These days, my greatest pleasure comes from sharing with you each week. And this week on Grants Getaways, hike through Oregon's colorful geologic history. When the state was a much different place, it's the amazing John Day Fossil Beds National Monument. And it's a sure sign of spring. Rakes, shovels, and a spirit of early morning adventure, we dig a supper from the sea, horsenecks, quahogs, and steamers. We meet a man who led the effort to save Oregon's wild coastal salmon. He knows the habits of salmon so well, many have nicknamed famed biologist Jay Nicholas Oregon's fish whisperer. But first, time to poke around Western Oregon, from the valley to the coast on a backdoor byway that offers spring wildflowers, abundant hiking trails, and a spectacular waterfall. State Highway 202 is not the fastest roadway between Portland and the Pacific, but it is the perfect backdoor byway for peace and solitude. The asphalt unwinds through small bergs called Mist, Birkenfeld, and Jewel, places that hold on to history for 50 paved miles to Astoria. A good place to discover Oregon.
That's beautiful. The texture of it, just layers upon layers of growth there.
Wow, that's pretty.
It's beautiful.
Can't believe we've never been here. And the sun's finally coming out.
I know.
It's gorgeous.
Elijah and Gabby Hanley agree. Heart-stopping moments are easy to come by on this back road, where little trails lead to big discoveries, like Lee Wooden Park just off Highway 202.
Well, this is perfect weather for waterfall shooting.
We're getting a little bit of everything today. Sun, snow, rain.
The husband-wife team travel the world and capture sights that most of us only dream about.
This time of year, the moss is starting to green up, and so everything's just lush, and the dampness from the rain also just accentuates and saturates all the colors as well. So it's really ideal for waterfall landscape photography like this.
Today, Elijah eyeballs Fishhawk Falls. It does so in a 75-foot foamy moment.
I'm gonna give it a go.
Okay.
He decides on a quick scoot for a closer look.
A really nice, tight composition. The way the water's breaking apart in the upper falls is nice, and then the stream leads out of the lower left-hand corner here to kind of guide your eye into the frame.
Elijah's eyes have guided his career for more than 20 years.
This is a skunk cabbage, and I understand why it's named that way. It definitely has an interesting smell, but they're very pretty.
Ever since he won a National Geographic photo contest that landed him at Machu Picchu in Peru. Gabrielle is always by his side. Together, they capture beautiful images where the light pierces the scene and creates magic that feels just right. Soon, another Highway 202 pull-off feels right at home at the Jewel Wildlife Area.
Our elk are here basically on the wildlife area all year round.
If it turned warm and sunny in the afternoon, these elk would probably move to the edges of the field or back up into the trees. Mornings and evenings are a better time when it's warm and sunny, from about mid-April through the late summertime.
And the elk, a couple of the viewing areas will come right up next to you. It's incredible to be that close and personal with these big animals.
Elijah is a big believer in a simple approach to wildlife, so he tries to isolate each subject.
We love shooting in the fog or the snow to create these crisp white backdrops so you can really focus on the animal. You can see all the texture in the fur, their antlers, and really isolate the animal against a simple backdrop.
Gabby and Elijah agree that it's important to dive deep wherever you travel. It's the journey that supports the destination.
Not go to necessarily the biggest spots that everyone goes
the
to,
touristy
touristy spots, but really look around the area and see what else you can find that's unique and special and a little more off the beaten path.
So hurry here soon, and then slow down on a back road byway that's one of the best around. Stay with us. We hike through geologic history when Oregon was a much different place, the amazing John Day Fossil Beds National Monument, when Grants Getaways continues. It is a landscape of enormous vistas and endless horizons that takes your breath away.
We can actually see very colorful layers of rock, kind of alternating bands of brown and red. They really make it a very photogenic place.
The 14,000-acre treasure trove of colorful volcanic history, where timeless stories are pulled from the soil, teach us much about Oregon's past.
In the case of Blue Basin, you have these badlands, canyons, and it also has this very vibrant green color. And it's actually an area where we have abundant fossils. So we go out and collect fossils there. It's a very important place.
The John Day Fossil Beds National Monument sprawls across a 3-unit preserve. So what is this?
This is sheetrock in front of us here.
Josh Samuel says visitors are best served by starting their adventures at the Thomas Condon Visitor Center.
He started out in the 1860s. He was actually a minister. He found fossils in the area, and what he did is he sent them off to scientists at a variety of institutions around the country and really helped highlight what is found in this area and bring it to the forefront for paleontology.
All of the rock layers are like the pages in the story.
Drop-in classes and lectures teach you more about the region. Inside, the center's murals and fossils give perspective on periods that reach back 50 million years.
Where you really have a jungle with things like crocodiles here to the environments that we see today, these kind of open grassland, sagebrush environments with things like deer, mountain lions, elk running around.
The center is also fossil science headquarters, where the past is revealed right in front of your eyes, one grain of rock and sand at a time.
We bring back a fossil from the field and no one has ever seen it before. It's really discovery.
Technicians use patience and critical care to remove the rock so to expose fossilized animals that lived so long ago. But it's the chance to walk the timeless trails I cherish the most, at places like nearby Painted Hills.
The way the clay erodes, it gives it that beautiful color, but also it's kind of a very slow process. So any footprint will last for years.
Leave no footprints behind and take only memories is a strict rule inside the parkland. But just 50 miles to the north, at nearby Fossil, Oregon, near the Clarno unit of the John Day Monument, stroll through the back gate at Wheeler High School, where donations are kindly accepted, and pass under the goalpost to take up a handful of fossils you can actually keep.
It's just been kind of a local secret. The community knew about it. The community would come up and kick around in the rocks and pick up a fossil. It got on a couple of different organizations' websites. Before long, it looks like today.
Today, the fossils you dig reveal a different scene 30 million years ago, when this part of eastern Oregon was more a rainforest. all of it stark contrast to the high desert sage and juniper country of the 21st century. And just down the street, Paleolands Institute will teach you much about the fossils that you collect and perhaps provide a new way to look at the high desert.
These fossils are something that we can highlight, help people appreciate the history of their area and really these valuable natural resources that are here.
Stay with us. It's a sure sign of spring. Rakes, shovels, and a spirit of early morning adventure as we dig a supper from the sea, horsenecks, quahogs, and steamers when Grants Getaways continues. Some say Oregon's springtime low tides are the best.
Any of the really good low tides in daylight can work out.
For that's when the dinner table is set.
Some people like to get here as early as possible and, have more digging opportunity, follow that tide down as it goes out to look for new areas that are, just recently exposed, and then work it back up if they need to.
Butter clams. They like this gravel shale to live in. They don't get in the sand very often.
Norm and Bonnie Clough agree that First Light Clam Diggers get the first choice across Tillamook's exposed sand and gravel bars.
Your technique is?
Keep digging. Usually if they're thick enough that you can just keep digging a hole and keep getting bigger and bigger till you get your limit of clams.
The Cloughs have been digging their dinner and having fun on the bay for more than 60 years, so a 4 a.m. wake-up call is no big deal.
So how does he persuade you to go clam digging?
He turns on the light.
April and May's super low tides are favored times for digging. Horsenecks, quahogs, and steamers, with tools usually used in the garden.
Do you feel guilty you're not using this shovel and your rake in the garden?
No guilt. He does the garden.
When there's clamming to be done, it's always too wet to work in the garden. So.
These are the cockles and these are the gapers, or sometimes they're known as the blues.
Local guide and marina owner Jeff Folkma shows off prized blues or horsenecks. These are gaper clams because of the gape in the shell where the neck pokes through.
I've seen them bigger than this, and there's quite a few that are actually smaller than this, but this is a pretty average size for out there. There's a lot of meat in there. I don't know how much that weighs, but it's a good sized clam. Number one, you need a shellfish license. Number two, each person that is harvesting has to have their own container, whether it's a bucket or a bread bag or whatever. You can't lump a family of 4's clams all into one bucket. Otherwise, that one person carrying the bucket is over their possession limit. You can wear rubber boots, but a lot of times just take a pair of old tinny runners that you don't really care about, and you can always wash the sand off and dry off. It's just a fun deal. I'm real happy. We're gonna have clams tonight.
Your clam digging gets easier when you look for information boards on the way down to the clam beds. You can see the clams and the regulations.
If you're digging, you really should know what you're after so that you can understand the regulations surrounding that species.
Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife biologist Mitch Vance says that abundant food, reliable cold, clean water contribute to perfect habitat for horsenecks, quahogs, and steamers.
If you're 14 or older, you need your shellfish harvest license. You should have your own container. There are the daily bag limits, 20 bay clams per day per person, and 12 of those 20 can be the gapers or the blue clams.
My reward.
Good morning exercise. I love it. It is so fun. And they're good eating.
Those are nice ones. You cut that muscle, and you got tons of clam in there.
And the reward is delicious.
Egg and cracker crumb and a little bit of onion in there. Chop it up rather than grind it up. Make your fritters that way and fry them on a skillet.
Pretty good?
Yeah, they're awesome. Yeah, they're great.
It's really good for families. It's easy to do, not a lot of gear necessary. Get the kids in some boots and get them out there and have some fun in the sand.
Stay with us. We meet a man who led the effort to save Oregon's wild coastal salmon. He knows the habits of salmon so well that many have nicknamed famed biologist Jay Nicholas Oregon's fish whisperer. When Grants Getaways continues. Oregon's rivers are filled with more than water as they flow to the sea. Big and little fish live here too. So do folks and waders who breathe the rhythms of the river and cast hand-tied imitations of nature's creations to catch them.
People ask me, what's the most effective pattern? Best fly is the one I caught my last fish on.
Jay Nicholas ties flies that drive fish wild.
The second best fly is the previous fly I caught a fish on.
He's known as one of Oregon's best.
And then the third best fly is the one I haven't tied yet.
He began his craft 50 years ago.
You feel these materials, you imagine how they're going to refract light in the water, how the fly is going to drop and rise as you retrieve it. Do the fish care?
Puzzling question from the man once considered Oregon's salmon czar.
And work with farmers and loggers and fishermen and pro-hatchery, anti-hatchery people.
Back in '95, Nicholas was lead scientist and author of a landmark conservation plan to save wild coastal salmon from extinction. It was called the Oregon Plan.
The vision of the Oregon Plan was that all the state agencies would authentically incorporate the health of salmon into their missions.
To help people understand the new plan, he decided to write a book.
So I went to Bymart and I got a Crayola watercolor set and just started painting.
The wonderful, colorful story called Down to the Sea explains simply what baby salmon face when they travel from rivers to the ocean.
A salmon has to have a healthy ecosystem from the mountains to the ocean and then way out to the feeding grounds. And if that chain is interrupted anywhere, the salmon suffer.
The book caught the attention of teachers and their students, plus legislators across the state. His hand-drawn images also stirred something new in Nicholas.
I'm untrained. I don't do very good with people's hands. I can't do people's faces very well. I do better with fish and with flies.
He'd never tried drawing or painting before, and he was a natural.
I try to visualize the fish's grace, its form, and if it is pleasing to my eye, then it's good enough.
2 years ago, Jay decided he was good enough and ready for change. He turned his passion for science to fly tying and book writing and art. He knows the habits of salmon so well, some call the famed scientist Oregon's fish whisperer.
My favorite subjects are salmon and flies. I've been drawing albacore as my fishing interests have expanded. They're absolutely remarkable creatures, as are the sea bass. And if you look closely in the mouth of a lingcod, oh my gosh, talk about a toothy critter.
He has written 10 books on the nitty-gritty tactics and techniques to catch fish, all published in the past year. He's on a self-described mad dash to write and publish even more books about fish.
When you find yourself awake at 3:30 in the morning and you can't sleep and you can't fish all the time, I'm a driven man.
That, plus the fact he has survived 2 heart attacks and now has 5 stents in his chest.
Cardiologist says, Jay, you're fine. And you're going to be fine until you're not. I don't worry about it. I just get on with it.
And he does. One of his favorite books is called Home Waters, a short 20-minute read.
We talk of flies, fly lines, and our hooks. Sometimes, though, we share more intimate thoughts.
It is poetry and homage to Oregon salmon and steelhead anglers.
The passing of friends, the certainty of our own death, obsession and depression, rage, passion, courage, God, women. Probably there is too little such talk among men.
In a search for the humanity in angling, Oregon's fish whisperer has discovered much more. It really isn't the catch that matters the most, but what we might catch when we go to Oregon's waters.
We're a bunch of fishermen. We usually just talk guy talk, but 2% of the time, and not with everybody, you get to share the really important stuff in life. I think that's what it's about.
We have all the details, directions, and the contact information for all the segments in this week's show on the KGW website, so be sure to check it out. Finally, it has always been my hope that Grants Getaways helps people swell a bit with pride for all there is to see and do in our corner of the world. I want you to get out there and explore the great Oregon outdoors and let Grants Getaways be your guide. For KGW and Grants Getaways, I'm Grant McComey.
Grants Getaways on KGW is sponsored by Astoria Brewing Company and Glen Marine and Industrial Supply and Fish Hawk Fisheries.